iPhone.
Oh, that's right. He doesn't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
He's a loser. Who doesn't have an iPhone? Wait,
right.
we're
That's
live.
why the app.
That's
That's why the app took so long.
I just called him a loser. Hey, guess what? PB's not here today, so I can roast him, toast him, and do whatever I want and make fun that he has an Android. Because we don't like Androids. If you have one, I forgive you. And so does Pastor Blake.
The more I feel sorry for you.
Painful.
Yeah.
Speaking of Pastor Blake, welcome. Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you. Yeah.
My lovely wife. So Samaj is not here. Pastor Bruce is not here. But you have Pastor Blake. You have Gianna.
Upgrades, really.
Upgrades. Peace, BB. Hey, Pastor Blake, what are we talking about today?
Money. Everybody's favorite church topic.
Money. Money.
Oh, yeah. You can't take it with you.
You cannot. You know, somebody once told me I never saw a U-Haul following a hearse. And you know what's crazy? Being Egyptian, the Egyptians used to take all their possessions. I mean, you saw King Tut's tomb, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they had their pets, their dogs, their servants.
Everything.
But the truth is, you can't take it with you. So welcome to Hijack Life Live, where we believe that God rescues the dreams that have been shattered by the cruelties and injustices of life. So, what do you think, guys?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
All right.
All right, so today we're going to talk about money. In light of stuff, what we accumulate, what we can and can't take with us, and the tithe. What is it, and what is it that we tithe on? So to the viewers, if you have a comment, Gianna's going to be checking the comment. She's going to be responding to you guys. But what is the tithe? And any thoughts on what we're going to discuss before that, Pastor Blake?
Yeah, a tithe is just, it means a tenth. That's all it means. But it gets super churchy. Like, you know, I mean, like, you know, when you hear the term tithe, everybody immediately thinks church, religion, you know, all that stuff. It just means a tenth. It just means a tenth. So you can kind of start by that. You can tithe anything. You can tenth anything. You can tithe your savings. But truly, I think what we're going to really talk about is mammon, like what we acquire, life, money, goods, houses, land, etc. That kind of stuff.
So for someone that's not churchy or didn't grow up in the church, the only time, if I'm right, that God says, test me, is that, right?
Yeah.
So he says, test me.
Test me in these things. Yep.
So trust me and see what I'll do, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
There's a general trust all throughout Scripture, right? Trust me with your life, trust me, right? Like all of those things. But the only specified challenge, I believe you're correct, is in there. It's interesting. The only time that they say outdo one another, like compete with one another,
giving, right?
is in showing honor.
Oh, showing honor. Okay.
Yeah. So like I'll constantly tell our staff or our team, right? I don't think we're going to get on the other side of heaven and God's going to look and say, you know, I think you showed too much honor to the past. That's why we've continued to do some of the things that we do at Gloucester, because we have such a great past that deserve to be honored.
Got it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this John guy. What's his
story? John Ortberg tells this story. He says, great pastor, a really cool guy. You should Google him someday. He's neat. One day we'll give an account for what God has entrusted to us, because everything is God's, right? We understand it. Yeah. That it can be an occasion of a great joy or a deep regret. Some time ago, we borrowed a friend's car. We had a 2-car garage that was full. Our friend's car was sitting in the driveway. We had 5 drivers in our family, 3 of them teenagers. And somebody got into the car, in the garage, and backed out without checking the rearview mirror. Boom. I don't want to tell you who it was because I don't want to embarrass that person. It was not, however, one of the teenage drivers. Nor was it my wife. What a bad feeling I had when it was time to return the car. Here's what you entrusted to me. I didn't do real well with it. I had an accident in my driveway. What comes up when I hear that story is we too have been entrusted with what God has given us.
Right.
He's given us something, a portion, and how embarrassed would we be when we have to give it back and not all there.
That's really powerful, and clearly it was him that had the car accident, and that's so funny. That'd be like me, hitting something with my truck and going, "Ah, man," and Brigade doing it and going, "What the?" Right? Because it's Brigade versus. I get it. Jake, thoughts?
No. I'll move on to mine. Is a question that seems to be asked frequently. Do I have to tithe on the gross or the net? In my mind, this translates as how little can I give and not get God mad at me? Or, since we're talking about stuff, how much of my stuff can I keep and not get into trouble? Better yet, let's put it this way. It's Mother's Day and you ask your mom, "Mom, what's the least amount of money I can spend on your present without you feeling like I'm cheap?"
That's a bad question.
Like you're cheap. I love it.
And that's how so many approach giving to God or giving the tithe.
All right, so let's talk about the tithe. I can remember being 13, broke, like I was not even poor, I was just po. I couldn't afford the R, you know that story?
Oh, yeah.
And I remember Pastor Bruce saying, "Oh, you got to tithe on your gross because, that's what God gives you, and you're going to get what's taken out of the gross, which is the net, in your tax return." And it was so complicated. I'm like, I'm not giving God what I'm not getting every week. I mean, we fought. At that Pittman Theater. And then how quickly did I learn? When you learn and you realize that when you test God and He proves to be true, you'll never give the 10th. You'll always give more.
Yeah. I think that's where people's hearts move, right? Is when you begin to trust God.
He shows up.
We talk about a pathway to giving. Like, we understand that God's requirement is 10%. But even if you just begin somewhere and work your way up, what's crazy is that you'll always end past 10.
So,
right. You'll always end past 10.
So I always tell people, it's like this, right? If you want to lose weight, your clothes are too tight, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
You start working out, you start to see progress, it pushes you to work harder, right?
100%.
So when you give to the church, so let's talk about the people that say, the church doesn't need my money. God doesn't need my money. You're right, God doesn't, but the church does. Because the church can't operate for the drug addicts, for the widowers, for the orphans, for anyone that needs missionary without the lights being on, without the gas bill being paid, without the staff being paid, without the overhead. And then there's the other part, the alms of the church, right? That's your secondary missionaries that we have all over the world. So when someone says the church doesn't need my money, well, without money, the church could not operate.
Yeah.
True?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right, so Pastor Blake, because the tithe is God's, let's go to His Word.
Yeah. I love this. A lot of people, when they're especially newer to church, they'll ask, why do I give and where do I give? So I think we're going to talk about both of those today. The why is really cool. There's like 4 C's of why, and we're going to talk about those. First is the commissioning. It was pre-law. Then Melchizedek, Genesis 14 says, king of Salem, brought out bread and wine. This is before any of the Abrahamic law or covenants were made or any of that stuff. He was priest of the Most High God, and he blessed Abraham, saying, "Blessed be Abraham by God Most High, creators of heaven and earth, and blessed be God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand." Then Abraham gave him, Melchizedek, this is a Christophany,
Yes.
Which means Christ appearing in the New Testament, a tenth of everything.
In the Old Testament.
In the Old Testament.
You said New Testament.
Oh, Old Testament.
I'm asking.
Yeah, Old Testament.
Christophany is Christ appearing before He was actually born, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but honey, can you keep an eye on those comments? That's so awesome, Ray. Tell Ingeborg that we love her, and we said hi to her as well. And Wayne Hillard's watching. Thank you so much. I hope this inspires you, because at the end of the day, everything belongs to God. Right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The bird's nest that's right out there in that carport belongs to God. The stars, the sun, the moon, and everything we have. So when He blesses us, I've been in it for a long time, so it's easy for me to say, if you don't know how to give, you don't know how to live.
Well, and you said a phrase, you've been in it for a long time. That's what is so important. Like we just started, we had VBS, and Heather did like food drives and like giving opportunities even for our kids.
Yeah.
Because once you get in the habit of learning how to give back to God, and we continually use the phrase give back to God because everything is His. We don't give to God. There's nothing that He needs.
It's already His.
We give back to God.
Yeah.
So I like that because like with Liam and Eva, we have their 3 different jars. And whenever they earn money, they have 10% in savings, 10% to church, 80% to spend on whatever they want.
I mean,
they
that's
have their
great,
little 3 jars.
I love that model. I mean,
Yeah.
For me, I think the verse, and I don't know what book it is, you will, but the verse that says, whatever you do to the least of these, you've done unto me, Hezekiah?
Ooh. It is the Old Testament.
It's the Old Testament,
yeah.
but the point is, whatever you do to the least of these, meaning like, if you hold a door for someone, it's like holding it for God. You know, if you pay for the coffee of the person in front of you at Wawa, it's like paying for God's coffee. Or the toll on the bridge. Whatever you do to the least of these, you've done to me. So when you do those things, it's an automatic feel good. And you're honoring God.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's the
What you got, Jay?
Can you read that?
In September, I'll be 10 years cancer-free, and it's because of all you did for me, my love.
That's awesome.
To God be the glory, great things He has done. Gianna,
Okay.
during the law, there's something in Leviticus. You want to read it?
Sure. 27:30. A tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to the Lord. It is holy to the Lord.
And then Deuteronomy.
14:22 to 23. Be sure to set aside a tenth of all that your fields produce each year, so that you may learn to revere the Lord your God always. The tithe is an act of reverence to God.
Blake, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's the it's really the commanding of the law. So you have the constituting before the law, Moses before the law, and then the commanding during the law. Not only was it like, hey, you should do this, but they were actually commanded to do this. Like one of the greatest things to Christians is, why should I give? Well, the real simple answer is because God tells you to.
Right.
Like that's the really basic answer.
So let's back up, because I know there's a lot of people watching that normally don't, because they're on my page.
Oh, that's cool.
So when you say before the law versus after the law, can you do a clip
Short
note of that?
synopsis. Yeah. All right, yeah. Short, little, quick Bible class. Before the law is before God's Levitical laws established for His people. Specifically His people. You can divide it at the Abraham covenant or the Moses covenant. And then you have the David covenant.
And then the final authority is Christ.
And then you have the final covenant, what we call the covenant of grace. Now,
right.
What does that mean to you? That means there was a time period before all of those things took place. And now we're in a time period of grace after all of those things have been fulfilled.
Gotcha.
Not canceled, but fulfilled by Jesus. So why is it important? Because one of the big arguments that we might get into later if we have time is a lot of people like to bring up passages in Corinthians that say, like, give whatever you can.
Okay, so talk about where in the New Testament does it say to do away with the tithe?
It never says to do away with tithe.
Okay.
It just says to continue to give what you want. And we're going to talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
From Harry Hughes.
Sure.
There was a question on Facebook. If anyone won the lottery, what would they do with the money? My answer was that I would have always promised to give half to the church. However, there was backlash. I was told God/the church would not accept gambling money. Your thoughts, please?
I will.
I hit the button first. Harry, with all due respect, it was probably a Catholic church. And if I'm wrong, God forgive me. But, it's funny. All things work to the good of those who love the Lord. And let me tell you, you can bet the stars that you're going to see tonight, and you can bet the candles I'm going to blow out on my birthday cake today because I turned 48.
48?
48.
Oh, my word.
48. Let me tell you something. I don't care where you get your money from. If some mobster leaves a duffel bag on your front porch, or some drug dealer that was convicted leaves a box of $100 bills on your front porch, you pay your taxes, you pay your tithe, And all things work to the good of those who love the Lord. Am I wrong?
No, you know what's really fascinating with all of this? I've heard that too. God doesn't want dirty money. And first off, that's a relative statement. Like, what is
clean,
dirty money?
First of all, God can clean anything.
Yeah,
If he can clean my sins, he can clean your money.
Yeah, and what's really crazy is when Jesus literally brings in Matthew as a disciple.
It was dirty money.
What does he say to him? We're having a party and it's your house.
Yeah.
Matthew didn't give all of his money back yet.
Oh, man.
He partied with the bad money.
That's a great...
Like if you want to do it like that, like Jesus literally had a party with Matthew under his bad money. Like,
if you watch The Chosen and you see Matthew, he is so convicted by his own guilt from his own money that he won't even go into his own home. Talk about dirty money, right? He won't even go into his own home. Now, we don't know if that's biblical or not, but if you read it and you know that the Bible's only this big and Christ's journey was 33 years, I'm sure there's a lot. The Bible says there's not enough books.
Well, yeah, John ends the book that way.
There's not enough space in the earth to fill the books that would really tell his whole story. So I do believe that was Matthew's heart. But yeah, to Harry's point, he said it. If it's ever mob or drug money, God will get it all. Yeah, go ahead, Harry. I like it.
But that's the story I like to point to.
That's a good one. So you want to read Matthew?
Yeah, so now we're in the New Testament time, the times of Jesus, and this is what Jesus says to the Pharisees. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees. He only ever gets upset with the religious people. You hypocrites, you give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin. I did a message on this a couple months ago. Yeah. I can't remember what it was, or I would send it. But you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter, justice, mercy, and faithfulness, without neglecting the former.
Sure, the Bible talks about if you don't help the widow, if you don't help the orphan, you are not a friend of God. Am I wrong?
Yeah, and this is more God talking to people, the Pharisees specifically, saying, you can't pay your way to heaven.
That's right, no.
Like, yes, you should continue to give, of course. But you're missing the big picture of what giving should prompt you to. Justice, mercy, faithfulness, right?
For sure.
I love that. Yeah, there's nowhere in the New Testament where God gives it away.
So to do away with the tithe is to do away with an act of reverence established before the law with all who could be called children of God. And if you're not religious, it's the same thing, again, as if you know someone who's a widow and you go that extra mile for them. You're doing it for God. Mm-hmm. It's called an alms. That's what the church calls it. Jay, any thoughts on that?
No, I'm just listening.
You're a giver.
Yes.
A giver of grief. No, just kidding.
You think it's not my birthday?
I know. I get a free pass for my birthday. Woo! All right. Let's continue to the church age in Hebrews, Pastor Blake.
Okay. Jay, you want to read the passage?
Sure.
Hebrews passage? Okay.
Hebrews 7, 6 through 8. This man, Melchizedek, however, did not trace his descent from Levi. Yet he collected a tenth from Abraham and blessed him who had the promises. And without doubt, the lesser person, Abraham, is blessed by the greater Melchizedek. In one case, the tenth is collected by men who die, reference priests. But in the other case, by him who is declared to be living. Melchizedek, representation of Christ. What is this passage saying?
It's saying Melchizedek represents Jesus. So the principle of giving God the tenth is without time. It has no time period.
I think if you don't tithe, you don't trust God.
It is a trust piece.
Right?
It is. Now, again, this is where grace and mercy come in. Did you know, this is crazy, this is like a proven statistic, church world, it takes a brand new believer to Jesus about 3 to 3.5 years to begin tithing.
You told me that. I believe that.
So for that, like, are we going to sit there, like just like we would anybody else in sin, we're going to sit there and bash somebody over the head and say, no, we're going to teach people God's standards, and then we're going to disciple them to the standard of God. Now, we're going to encourage them to take the plunge. Like, just jump in, dive into that. But to walk before you run.
So I go back to what I said. If you are overweight and you go to the gym and you start to see the numbers in the scale go down,
pounds the next day.
No, but you're going to see those pounds slowly go down, which is going to entice you and give you that inspiration to work out harder to achieve your goal. Okay, with tithing, when you trust God and you give to those in need and you help the church help others, you are then God's hands. You're his feet. You're allowing him to do his work. You start to then feel blessed, and then you start to see your life change, and you start to give more. It's the same pattern.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read from 2 Corinthians 9, 6 through 7. Remember this. Whoever sows sparingly, okay? Whoever gives cheap.
Yeah,
whoever's cheap.
Having the cheap Mother's Day gift.
Pastor Bruce, if you're watching. Whoever's cheap, you will also reap cheap. Okay? Bible says whoever sows sparingly.
Martino version?
Yes.
Yeah.
Will reap sparingly. But, the big but, whoever sows generously, you will reap generously. If you don't know how to give, you don't know how to live, comes straight out of 2 Corinthians. Each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give. God, you read the last part.
Not reluctantly.
Mm-hmm.
Under compulsion.
What does not reluctantly mean?
Not, I don't want to give this, but I know I have to. Like a 4-year-old walking to their room when they're in trouble.
Right, so that's my point. You want to give joyfully. That's why I wanted you to say that. You want to give joyfully because God loves a cheerful giver.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? This passage is also often used and then turned to mean something it doesn't mean. People who are not anti-tithe, but are more like, tithes in the Old Testament, we should just give whatever God lays on our heart. What's fascinating is the principles of giving are kind of threefold. They're sacrificial, they're for a purpose, but also it is still commanded. When you talk about sacrificial giving, or this passage specifically is not talking about the tithe, if you notice, it continually references the gift or give. That's anything above and beyond the tithe. That was just expected. The tithe was just expected in culture.
William says, can you give your time? Absolutely. Tithing and alms are your time, your talent, and your treasure. Mm-hmm. Right? Your treasure is your money that you give. Your time is your time, right? And your talent is, we have a welder in the church who, whenever our train breaks, he comes out and fixes the train that gives kids with cancer rides around the farm.
Yeah.
So you absolutely can give of your time.
But remember then, that is a gift.
It is a gift.
The Bible is continually, when it talks about the tithe, it is continually talking about the finance.
Yeah, tithe.
I have people all the time. I met a pastor. I won't say his name, but I met a pastor that says, I don't tithe because I've given my life to the church.
That's wrong.
And I said, you've given your life to the church, but that's great. That's your gift. That's your gift, right?
That's
and
wrong.
so this passage is continually referring to the gift. So this is what I would say. If the church is in a building project, if the church is supporting a missionary, if the church is putting up, like we did for the Passion Play this year, how we had Wigs and Wishes as our donating sponsor, right? Or the nonprofit we were donating to. If that doesn't move your heart, then don't give in neglect. Don't just give because it was presented. But that doesn't excuse you from not giving the tithe. That's what that is talking about. Lisa and I got in one of our biggest fights over missions giving in our old church because she wanted to give to this thing. She wanted to buy people bikes. And I was like, babe, I got to get going. I don't know about the bikes. But she wanted to give people bikes. Her heart was stirred, mine wasn't. So she just went, oh, there it is. It's because I mentioned the bikes. See, she'll mention the bike. But that passage in 2 Corinthians is only talking about your gifts. It's not talking about the tithe. Yeah.
Gianna, what are your thoughts on all this?
Why tithe? Because the tithe blesses both the church and the tither. Malachi 3, 7 to 11.
This is the passage you're talking about.
Yeah, so let's go back to what you just said. The tithe blesses the gift and the giver. Right? So your tithing allows a church to help those in need, spread the gospel, save souls, and in return, God will bless you because you gave him what's already his. Go ahead, hon.
Ever since the time of your forefathers, you have turned away from my decrees and have not kept them. Return to me and I will return to you, says the Lord Almighty. But you ask, how are we to return? Will a man rob God? Yet you rob me. But you ask, how do we rob you? In tithes and offerings.
That's a strong rebuke from a merciful God.
He describes himself as long-suffering as the first attribute in Exodus 34, and still talking to the same people he was talking to in Exodus 34. He makes that statement.
Read verse 9.
You are under a curse, the whole nation of you, because you are robbing me. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, and that there may be food in my house.
What's the tithe? Tithe is 10%. That's what he asked for. And I believe, because I've seen it myself, that when you honor God in the way he tests you, your vats will overflow, pressed down, shaken together, running over, right?
Yeah. No, you know what my grandpa used to tell me? This is awesome. He used to share with me, Blake, tithe on what you want to make, not on what you make.
That's powerful. Say that again.
He used to tell me, tithe on what you want to make, not on what you make.
I love that.
Now, obviously, that's not a
love
biblical
that.
command.
I
right?
know, but
it's just a suggestion.
Let me
And
tell
he told me, he said, test God, because we were in a place
it's
where
a common sense command.
none of us grew up rich. Like none
Right.
of this
Nope.
side of the table grew up wealthy,
Nope.
right? So like, it was in a time where we were struggling, and he was like, tithe on what you want to make, not on what you make, and
That
see what
is
God
a
does.
brilliant
Yeah,
statement.
he used to tell me that all the time.
Wow.
Fascinating, right?
Comments other than JB Sophia. He doesn't count today. I'm the boss. PB today.
There's a lot of comments. Linda said, the more you give, the more you get in life. It's a gift from God that you
Amen.
feel in your heart.
Amen.
And a lot from Pastor Bruce.
And a lot from Pastor Bruce. We'll read his later. Love you, PB. Hey, listen, make sure that you share, like, and if you have any questions or there's a topic that you would like us to discuss on Hijack Life Live, aka The Other View, make sure you put it in the comments. You never heard that before?
No.
Put that in the comments, and Gianna will be sure to get it to PB. If you like a copy of today's transcripts, you can put that in the comments as well, and Pastor Bruce will send it to you. In the meantime, Pastor Blake,
Yeah.
what is this week's sermon about, and what's it called?
It is called The Great Omission.
Omission.
Yeah. Well, missing the commission and the commandment is the tag, and we're going to talk about the trap of only being evangelistic or only being discipleship based. And we're going to talk about the
like
need
that.
of the bridge together.
I like that. If
Yeah.
you're not in New Jersey and you're not near to the Gloucester County Community Church, you can watch him live at 11 o'clock at the Gloucester County Community Church's Facebook page, and you can also download the app on both iPhone and Android.
Finally,
it's available. But there's lots of great tools and just inspiration. You know, when you feel like your gas tank's empty, you can log onto that app and it'll fill it up and show you where to go. In the meantime, our proclamation, unlike church, is a little different here at Hijack Life Live. So, are y'all ready?
Ready.
1, 2, 3. Live for Jesus, and even a bad day will be a good day. We missed you, PB. Love you guys. Have an awesome week. Be blessed.
Bye, guys.
Who's hitting end?